Thank you so much. We're going to start with our roll call. So you know today Irene is helping in that she's advancing the slides. So Irene, thank you so much for doing so. It's always appreciated. So good afternoon, welcome, and I'll turn it over for the roll call. Kati?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll start with roll call. Dr. Maureen Brummett?
Here.
Dr. Michael Coyne? Dr. Margie Gillis? Kim Healy?
Here.
Dr. Melissa Jenkins? Stephanie Lockhart? Dr. Tamu Lucero?
Here.
Ms. Nuccio?
I thought I saw him. Did he not respond?
Thomas Nuccio, are you here?
TJ?
Yeah, present. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, thank you. Fran Rabinowitz? Bianca Rivera?
Here.
Lisa Thomas?
Yep, TJ is here. Oh, Lisa Thomas. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
I'm here. Thank you.
Susan Wachowski?
And then Kati, we do have a few people who came in. I let them in while you were doing roll call.
Yeah, hi, this is Mike Coyne. I'm here. Thanks.
Okay, Dr. Coyne.
And then Dr. Jenkins too, I believe.
Yes, Melissa Jenkins is here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins. I believe roll call is now complete.
All right, thank you so much. So I would like to take this time. We have a new member. Stephen Hernandez did transition to another position, and right before leaving, he appointed, as per legislation, Thomas or TJ. So I'm going to have TJ introduce himself, and then we have a special guest that I'll introduce as well. So TJ, you want to introduce yourself to the council, please?
Great. Thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is TJ Nuccio. I am the Children's Policy Analyst with CPSEO. It is so nice to see some of you, some familiar faces and some new faces around the table today. I'm very excited to be working on this with all of you as the designee from the Commission, and I look forward to supporting Right to Read and Early Literacy with each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, TJ. Welcome. We so appreciate your time and expertise and look forward to working very closely with you here on the council. So we also have a special guest. As you know, in the past, I have been the facilitator in charge of the PowerPoint and sometimes taking the notes and letting people in. So, you know, we've had conversations here about sharing the load, and one of the people is here today. So Dr. Ellen Stoltz, she's the owner educational consultant with Improve Your Schools. She has been working with the department and will now be working with the council as a facilitator for our upcoming meetings. So once again, this will provide me with the opportunity to really fully participate in our conversations and our discussions, and she'll assist with the flow of the meeting so we can really truly realize our norms, our goals, and planning next steps to support the district. So I'm just going to turn it over to Dr. Stoltz to do an introduction. So Dr. Stoltz.
Thank you, Dr. Hickey. Can everybody hear me? Just checking on that. Okay, great. First of all, it's certainly a privilege to be with this council, the council memberships, to help to facilitate your focused work on behalf of our students and early literacy. As a lifetime educator, I saw firsthand the need for a coordinated research and evidence-based program for students who struggle and students who accelerate. I've worked in the K-3 classrooms in Coventry Public Schools, Hartford Public Schools, and went into administration to look at students with disabilities who really needed some focused literacy. So I do think, including my research as a doctoral student on reading, reinventing some of the programs so students could enter their general ed classroom with pre-learning of and comprehension skills. I think that this work aligns with everything that I've found to be meaningful and purposeful in my life. So I'm thrilled to be here and very intent on seeing where this group is going and hope I can help to achieve your goals and objectives. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Stoltz. Many of you are aware that with a lot of the groups that we have, the legislated groups, that we do have facilitators that assist for exactly this purpose, so that I can be more present and part of conversations, etc. So most recently, we had the facilitator with the Remote Learning Commission, which some of you may actually be on a part of or have been involved in that work. So thank you so much for that. What I'd like to do now is move on to our minutes. We have actually 2 sets of minutes. If someone would like to make a motion, we'll start with the November 14th minutes or move to amend the minutes. And if you could just identify yourself by name when doing so, that will help Kati as she's taking the notes.
I move to approve the minutes of November 14th, 2023.
And that was Lisa. Thank you so much. Anyone second?
Seconded, TJ Nuccio.
Well, I don't know if you could do that since you weren't at the last meeting, TJ.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I appreciate you reading them. I know that you watched them when Stephen was on the actual council. So is there someone else who can do that?
I can second them. Kim Healy.
Okay, thank you, Kim. And then let's go to the December 1st meeting.
I have a comment. Are we going to have discussion
Oh, yeah,
on the
I'm
minutes?
sorry. Did you want to talk about those? Sure. We'll have a discussion. Absolutely. Go ahead.
So the very end of the minutes, the last paragraph of item 4. I want to clarify what my question was. It just says definition of small town. My question was, what is the definition of a small town for purposes of the grants? Thank you.
Kati, do you have any questions about what she just said?
No, we can go back and change that.
To what is the definition of small
Just to
town?
clarify, Lisa, the definition of small town for purposes of grants, correct?
Yeah, it was for the purpose of the ARPA dollars that were set aside to assist schools in funding this mandate, since it's a mandate that came without funding. And so we were able to get some of those ARPA dollars designated to help districts. And the way it was set up, it differentiated between small towns and the rest of the world. I happen to be the chief elected in a small town, so I wanted to know how that was defined, actually in Coventry.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yep, that was for the ARPA ESSER. Excellent.
Yes, thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments, questions, clarifications? All right.
So seek to approve as amended.
Correct, exactly. I was just going to say, all in favor of approving the minutes as, oh, I'm sorry. Are you approving, Kim, and just kind of jumping ahead, or do you have a question? Okay. So all in favor of approving as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone who needs to, sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. Anyone who may not have been here or cannot vote? Okay, whew, sorry, I was about to sneeze. All right, so then those are approved as amended. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next, the December 1st meeting. As you recall, that was the meeting that was focusing on the waivers and consulting with you about adding the new programs and curriculum models, especially around the compendiums. So anyone make a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll move to accept the minutes of December 1st, 2023. Lisa Thomas.
Thank you. Second,
This is Mike Coyne. I'll second.
thank you, Dr. Coyne. All right, discussion. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Raising your hand, thank you.
Aye.
I guess, all right, any opposed or anyone not there that cannot vote?
Abstentions?
That's it, thank you, yes. I think we're all set, correct? All right, so all in favor then. All right, thank you so much for that as well. So those are our 2 minutes. Dr. Stoltz, so you know, and I will be discussing this later, that at one of our meetings, we did decide that we would be moving toward the Roberts rules. So that's what that was entailed. All right. Thank you so much, Irene, for advancing. So some of this is going to be a review for council members who have been part of the council for 2 years, but I did want to do this as we are onboarding TJ. So we have been a council for 2 years, as you know, and it's been ever evolving. We started January 13th, 2022, and at that time we did ponder these norms, and at the time the council did not feel that we needed to add or adjust to the norms. We also talked about the consensus model and the gradients of agreement at that meeting and moved those forward as well. So I'll just give everyone a minute to look at the council norms. We're not going to be changing them at this time, but we will be having a conversation, hopefully in March, about these norms and if there's any changes that need to be done or adjustments. All right, you can advance, thank you. And then it was May 16th that Lisa Thomas requested the adherence to Robert's rules. So that was one of those adaptations and changes that we've made as a council. Now, here are the legislative responsibilities. I know that we've talked about these in the past, because what's remained consistent across all of our meetings are our legislative responsibilities. And at one of the meetings, we really talked about these most recently, and it helped to feed our goals. Our goals are something that we're going to be also talking about today and just reviewing. The legislative responsibilities, there's obviously consulting with me, the director, assisting in informing the activities of the center, facilitating conversations in the field, and disseminating the informations and the tools and the services made available by the center. For example, our strategy, the strategy that we created as a council and put forward, developing and publishing the annual goals, that's part of the legislation, and meeting at least once every 2 months, also part of the legislation. So once again, moving on, we have talked about and established together the why, the how, and the what, which then too leads to our goals. But the why, which did get adjusted to include the independently and proficiently words. That was a conversation we had as a council, and then move forward to be adding those words to our why, that every Connecticut student. So really focusing on the kids and the learners here in Connecticut. So here's our why, how, and our what, and we can advance. Thank you. As I referenced, each year we do publish these goals. This is mandated by legislation. Some of the goals we've chosen to carry through and continue, especially the first two about the research and analyzing these successful evidence-based literacy strategies. In the past, we've had many of our council members speak about the work, about the research. We had Hanover. So once again, just kind of summarizing the work we've done in the past. We did talk about building upon the K-3 strategy to include birth through grade 12 and match more of the legislative plan, which will eventually be birth to grade 12 as well, and evaluate and identify the supports for the districts, what are necessary supports, and then support and communicate the activities of the center, which is legislated. So moving on to the next. This is just, oh, Kim, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just have a question. So is it possible that we are copied on communications about the legislation when, you know, like I've received communications about it from districts or about like programs? I know there was a program offered statewide that brought in different publishers and different, I don't even know who was invited to it, but I was asked if I was going and I wasn't even aware of it. So is it possible going forward that we are copied on the different activities surrounding, you know, anything that surrounds this legislation so that we are informed and we can then communicate appropriately with the people that are asking us questions?
Sure, the things I have done that in our meetings. I don't know what you're referencing, to be quite honest, about programs brought in. Do you know a little bit more about that? I think there might be confusion in the field who's doing what too. So can you just tell me some more details?
I'm trying to find the
Sure.
Well, it went through the facts and falsehoods about the right to read law. That was one of there was a PowerPoint on that I was sent.
Perhaps the board meeting, the State Board of Education meeting? We presented on that.
No, I think the publishers weren't.
So that's not something that we've done here at the state. Like I said, anything done at the state, I have communicated with you. And
That
we're
could be
actually
something related to the rests. If the rests are doing something and communicating, then they're in control of that communication. But we have not done anything with the publishers recently. So
no. But you can send me the email and I can see what you're talking about. Give me more details. But yeah, no, you've been informed about all the professional learning, the pending contracts, etc. We're actually going to go through that again today. I don't know. Did she freeze?
she may be frozen.
Yeah, that's why I need a facilitator. Okay.
She may be frozen, so we can come back to. I made a note for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for making that note. So moving on to the next, were there any other questions related to anything that we've gone over here, the goals, the literacy? Okay, so then I'm going to go on to the literacy plan. As you recall, we've been working on the literacy plan. There was a smaller group of the council that finalized the plan, and we put that forward to the whole council. The council approved to move that draft forward to the commissioner's office to be reviewed there. It has been reviewed by many people here at the State Department of Education. Oh, we're going to let her in again. And then in December of 2023, the State Department of Education was one of 12 states to be granted national assistance from the federal government. So we're going to be working with the federal government and other states to get some information and supports and coaching around building a comprehensive literacy state plan. This is coming from their Literacy State Department Literacy Center, and it's going to be enhancing our actual plan. So I'll keep you posted on that. This is an ongoing individualized process where we do have a coach from this center that'll be working with us. And like I said, we'll also be meeting with other states who are either have developed a plan or on the process of developing a plan, which is always very helpful. We'll be self-assessing here internally our draft plan, attending webinars with subject matter experts, and working, like I said, with other states. Although the supports end June of 2024, the work will continue. So I'll continue to keep you posted on that work there around the literacy plan for the entire state, as well as the literacy plan for the center. Oops, thank you very much. All right, so there was a question from Dr. Lucero about funding that she asked that we put on the agenda for today. So that's what this slide is representing. Dr. Lucero, do you want to talk about your question around the grants?
Yeah, it's my understanding that the funding is not able to be used for certain types of professional development. It can only be used for professional development that is given from the program that you purchase. And so our concern is that there are components of the program that we believe work and are going to make a difference for our students, but there are other parts that we are taking from other programs because we feel like in the area of fluency, it may be taught better, or we use it as a supplemental portion of our program. And because of that, we have worked with people who have done professional development with us for several years around the science of reading. And this isn't just Stanford, I'm just giving us as an example, that cause us to not believe that just going back to a program to provide the professional development would be advantageous. So that's our concern. And so that's the question that I thought that we should talk through a little further.
Sure, and thank you so much once again for posing that. What we have done, does anyone have any clarifying questions first for Dr. Lucero? Lisa?
I actually am glad that Dr. Lucero asked that question. I had the same question. I was confused about what strings were tied to those grant dollars, and I thought I had asked before, but I didn't really understand. And then I've had a couple of districts approach me with their concern that, so I was told that if a district accepted the grant dollars, they had to send X number of staff people for professional development training, and they had to go to the training had to be provided by one of the listed, who we have on our list of those 7 publishers. So I was going to ask for that. I think it's the same question.
Sure, so I can clarify a little bit. So, because I think it's same, but also different. So those
I think
districts,
it's a different, it's a different. There are 2 pieces of a puzzle. That is one that has to do with the requirement to attend training if you accept the funds. And that is a training that is provided by the state. And I have my own issues with that, but I'm letting that go right now. what I'm more concerned about is these publishers are the only people that, as I understand it, we can go to for professional development separate from the professional development that is required if you accept these funds. And this is professional development that really helps us with the implementation of the actual program, even though we may need some additional support. So we've introduced other pieces of other programs in one of the 5 areas that we feel like is going to provide the correct amount of support for our students. And given the fact that some of these publishers just hire retired people who aren't that familiar with the program to come in and do some of these trainings, I'm not always satisfied with that level of training and would rather choose people that we've been working with for years, specifically related to the science of reading.
So let me start then with that, right, exactly. So those districts who chose to utilize the ARPA Right to Read funds then do have to participate in professional learning. That's once a month. It is virtual professional learning. It is provided by the Hill for Literacy, Literacy How under UConn. And Literacy How is providing coaching supports virtually, so coaches can opt into some professional learning there if they choose. But the once a month is mandated for those districts who are accepting the ARPA Right to Read funds. In the morning, they're constructing and creating a literacy plan that includes the structures and systems that are necessary for literacy in a district. And then in the afternoon, they are participating in professional learning that they can then roll out to their teachers for free. So yes, that is one of the mandates around the professional learning for the ARPA Right to Read, if you are utilizing those funds. There are only 8 districts who have opted not to do that. There are some districts who are participating, around 30 right now, who are participating in the masterclass. Those who are participating in the masterclass are also creating literacy plans. These are literacy plans that have the same systems and structures that are associated or put within them. I'm going to admit, Dr. Brummett. So we have said to districts that, especially smaller districts, if it is a burden, then they only have to send 1 or 2 people to this. We do recommend 2 because that helps to foster those conversations and collaboration around the topics that are discussed. So we really have been leaning into questions that districts have had and supporting them with this work. But what's really exciting is that because of not only this opportunity, but also the masterclass, we do have, like I said, only 8 who are not participating in some sort of professional learning right now around the right to read, science of reading, and creating literacy plans. And this is all for free because we are providing that professional learning. Now to get to Dr. Lucero's question, the grants, we did make the we did say, and this was also with work, I wish Dr. Gillis was unable to attend today, but she could speak to this. But with Dr. Gillis, obviously Dr. Coyne, Dr. Burns, about this grant would really be around supporting districts with the programs, the curriculum models, and the assessments. So these are professional learning that is tied directly to that. Now, what we've done as a result, those districts who have said no to the funds, we are able to take those funds and put into other professional learning opportunities, which include TNTP to be working on implementation. I'll tell a little bit more about that. The contract is still in the pipeline, and also to increase professional learning opportunities with the Hill and Literacy How. I know that Dr. Gillis is unable to really expand right now based on staffing, but I don't want to speak for her. So I'm hoping, Dr. Lucero, that that helps in the process, that, if districts are interested in implementation supports, we'd really like you to reach out to us so that we can best fit you with some free professional learning. We're also going to be working with the RESCs, so I'll tell you all about that work. We can't change the grant at this time. People have already started spending down their funds or asking, actually it's a reimbursement. So they have to first spend their funds and then they come to the grant system where they post their munis reports, their expenditures, their receipts, more or less, so that we can confirm it aligns to the federal guidelines and the purposes of these funds. And then they get reimbursed. So that's all the work there around the grant. Any other questions or comments around that or clarifications? Oh, Dr. Brummett, hello.
If I
I
can
think,
mute.
yes. Oops, and it just unmuted again. It muted again.
All right, hopefully
You're all set.
that'll work. My
Okay.
question is, and I did pose this at another meeting. There was a meeting about the one of the next cohorts for the masterclass. My group is getting into the Right to Read modules to get the grant access and the masterclass at virtually the same time. I know in the fall they allowed people to choose one or the other. Are we allowed to simply do the masterclass? Will that give us the ability to spend the grant dollars since we're going through that training, or because it would be a very time intensive to do both?
Sure. So thank you for posing that. I am going to turn it over to Irene.
Sure.
Go ahead, Irene.
Yep. So cohort 4 has not been determined yet. That's why we had the informational session last week, and then we have our dine and discuss. So we have not determined the participants for the upcoming cohort 4. To the decision to say that the masterclass is in lieu of the Right to Read training, that just needs to be decided. So the decision has not been made yet. And again, just to reiterate, we have not chosen those districts to participate yet. So really there's nothing to communicate yet to districts at this time.
Okay. Is it a feasibility? Because I believe it was offered to the previous cohorts, if I'm not mistaken.
We did, the commissioner made that decision because they were already enrolled in those masterclass sessions, and then the grant was released after the fact. So certainly knowing that the masterclass is a very high level commitment and training, and they're developing the literacy plan, I'm sure she's taking that into consideration, but the decision has not yet been made.
Okay,
So
thank you.
we have been examining the overlap potentially for any of those. There's multiple cohorts for the ARPA Right to Read training. So we do understand the calendar where cohort 4 and 5 may overlap with cohort 4 of the masterclass. So all of that's being taken into consideration, and we will communicate a decision.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Sure. And just so you know, too, there are many districts who have decided to participate in both because they feel like both are very helpful to assisting them in implementing the science of reading. All right, any other questions or comments around that? All righty, well, thank you so much once again, Dr. Lucero, for putting that forward. Based on your question, like I said, what we decided to do was to take some of those funds that districts were not spending and then put it into the professional learning so that we could pay for and better support districts than using your own funds. All right, moving on to the next. You can move to the next slide. We talked about that ARPA professional learning. So here are just some other professional learning opportunities that I know we've talked about in the past. The Connecticut Literacy Model Strategy, which is legislated. I know that Dr. Coyne did talk about that in one of our original meetings, just so that everyone understood what the work was there. ReadCon, which we've had for years. Once again, this year, we have almost 500 participants. That too is virtual virtual online professional learning, the Science of Reading Masterclass, which I know Fran has talked about many times, and we actually presented on also for all of you. This is new. We did do a contract with Hill for Literacy, and we're in the process of doing one with TNTP as well. The reason that we were able to go with these two vendors is because Massachusetts has, they did an RFP process where they went out and from their process, these two bubbled up as being the two that could successfully assist districts with not only picking and choosing programs that are high quality instructional materials, as well as implementation. We do have 14 districts who are participating right now in this professional learning. The Hill is meeting individually. The asterisk is there so that you know that those districts who received a limited for their waivers got first choice. So we did go to the waiver districts first to see if they were interested in this opportunity. Going on to the next slide, we also have, like I said, TNTP that is still in process, the contract, but that will also expand to 11 more district-based teams. And the asterisk is there as well about the waiver districts, those who waivers were not approved or moved forward. They are getting the first dibs on this professional learning. Lisa.
I'm wondering if you can just say for the minutes, spell out TNTP so that people who read the minutes or people who watch this video know what that is, please.
Sure. I don't know if they still go by their name. I'm wondering, it might be like FFA, what that used to be the Future Farmers of America, but now they're just called FFA. So I would have to look TNTP. Let's see.
They were the
They
new
are
teacher
TNTP. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the new teacher project, and they were the authors of the opportunity myth. So that had gained a lot of traction in 2019, 2020, and so on. So yeah, they might just go by TNTP now.
Yep, they now go by TNTP. So thank you for that, Lisa. Did you have another question?
No, thanks.
Okay. Moving on to West Ed. So this is something I know I've talked about before. We were able to participate in this network improvement community. Small districts had first dibs on that last year, and it was quite successful. Based on that, we wanted to expand and include other district-based teams. We're in the process of contracting with them as well. This would go to the smaller districts as well as the waiver districts. Those who applied for a waiver that did not receive their waiver would be getting first dibs on this as well. And then last but not least is the RESC literacy affinity groups and the one-on-one coaching. So we are working with ACEs and putting together the supports for districts to come together around the materials. So those, for example, who are all using the ELL education materials, those who are doing interreading, can be coming together and having conversations around their implementation and getting supports in that way. Thank you. Also research. So the ARPA funds, it's required that we do research. And we have ARPA funds that are supporting the Science of Reading Masterclass, as well as the Right to Read, as you know, with the grants. So Ajit Gopalakrishnan, who does work here at the State Department of Education, has been working with colleges and universities around the CCERC. And we currently have 2 proposals that went out and were accepted, and various university and college employees, professors, came forward and are doing or starting to be doing research around the Science of Reading Masterclass, as well as with the districts accepting the funds of the ARPA Right to Read, which was also one of the stipulations of the ARPA Right to Read grant, not only attending that professional learning, but also agreeing to participate in research. This is still being created, but it'll be in the form of surveys as well as focus groups and talking about their journeys with the curriculum models or programs. Lisa, did I see your hand up again? No, okay, sorry.
Kim
No, I
Lisa.
think
Healy,
it's me.
Kim Healy has.
Oh,
her hand up.
Kim, I'm sorry, it's so hard to tell. Kim, did you have a
That's
question?
okay. So, I'm just really concerned about the time. We only have 5 minutes left. I'm not sure why the meeting was cut short. But really the path forward is of great concern to me, especially
Sure.
the language that was in the letter sent to the districts that weren't given waivers. It talked about the center in consultation with the council will be reviewing the provision for technical assistance for those districts who were denied a waiver, including working collaboratively with districts to craft the next steps for the path to full implementation. So obviously we're not going to, I don't know if you have the bullet points that we're going to be working on, or, obviously with time is of the essence with the, school year halfway done, moving into almost fiscal 25. I'm not sure. Are we going to be having another meeting within the next 2 months?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, so we have 2 meetings on the schedule, March and May. So let's see, March 19th and May 21st. So that should be in your calendars. I know that Kati sent out the invites around that. We will be exploring this together, and that's also through Dr. Stoltz's help. So by her being able to facilitate, I'll be able to participate more in those conversations. So we did want to say that that is something that we're going to be exploring together as a council.
Okay, what were the dates? I never received those invites. Okay, March 19th.
All right,
May
we'll
21st.
check into that. Kateria, could
Okay.
you just check into that and just make sure?
Were they sent recently?
In the beginning of the year, right? Were things
Yeah,
like-
this would have been previously when
Oh,
we
was
all
it- was it
decided on the
the-
dates.
Was it when then we got the one canceled? I think when the canceled one came through, I think they all got deleted. Can I also, just before we run out of time as well, I really believe that we should be meeting in person, at least being offered the option to meet in person. I think it's really important that we sit at a table and have conversations face to face,
Well-
especially because I think that, well, I know that I'm anxious about what this path forward for the districts that were denied waivers looks like. And so I would feel much more comfortable if we were all in person. So I would like to request that. And the other thing, 2 things, if we could get all these slides in advance, some of the information that you provided here would have been helpful if we could have read through them in advance. And also, one of the things I had emailed you about was offering the chance for public comment. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of things to say about how this has been implemented, and I really don't like being the only one that's carrying all that weight. So I would like everyone here to share, or have all this information shared with them, so that it's not just all sitting in my head.
Sure.
That's
So,
about it,
right,
'cause I'm
you
sorry, I
actually,
know
those
I'm-
are the last 2 things that we were going to be discussing today. Absolutely. The first is about the next meeting. I was actually going to propose we think about the March 19th being in person. I do know it's a hardship on some people, so I do want to have a conversation around that. If we could even, I know that, like you said, our time is short, but even if we could show with a show of hands, we could move forward, meeting March 19th in person. It would be here at the State Department of Education. Is there anyone who would like to comment on that?
Well, Melissa, I think if you
Yep.
want to follow your Robert's rules, if this is a motion, then someone needs to make a motion, second
Well-
it, have the discussion, and then do the vote.
Correct, but in the past, then we had another conversation where it was decided just really the minutes were the Roberts rules, and the others would
Okay.
continue to be more conversations. So.
Sure, and I think, given we've tried to do in-person meetings in the past, and the feedback was that not everyone was in agreement with that. So I just
Right.
wanted to make sure that we open it up and we reach consensus about having meetings in person, that's all.
Well, why can't we have hybrid meetings like every other meeting that's offered?
We can
for the
take that
most
into
part?
consideration. I think we can take that into
Right.
consideration and then just work with internally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly take that into consideration, but it would be helpful to understand from everyone present today the consensus for meeting in person, or then the other option is to be hybrid.
Okay.
Right. And then just a reminder too, that when you do email, and you put others on those emails, it is considered a meeting. So we have to be very cautious about that. So that's why I really wanted to raise this up today to put on a future agenda. So if we could talk about this, allowing for public comment at our next meeting, that would be wonderful. So thank you for bringing that forward. Before our time is up, because I know it is 2:30 and we do need to move along, talking about consensus. So I don't know if it makes people more comfortable to put it in hybrid for our March 19th meeting.
If we're voting,
So
yes.
show a hand, and I'm so sorry, I can't see all the hands, once again, by me doing this.
I will stop sharing so you can see
Okay, that would be
clearly.
wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, so show of hands for hybrid at the next meeting. I have 1, 2. All right, so it seems like the majority is doing hybrid. Okay, wonderful. All right, so we'll put that in place to do the next meeting as hybrid, and then it'll be up to you if you want to attend that in person or virtually.
My motion, if not that it was a motion, but I was actually suggesting all meetings be hybrid, not just one at a time. I think we should always aim to meet in person if we can. And
So yeah, again, we
I
just
don't
need to
see
take
why
that
we
into
would just do one at a
consideration.
time.
All right, so we'll put that on the future agenda items as well. Irene, if you don't mind jotting
Sure.
that, and then we can talk about it at the next meeting. Thank you.
So we'll bring
All right.
that proposal back internally and talk through it. We'll take it under advisement and see if that is something we can do. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Dr. Jenkins, did you have something you wanted to share?
I was wondering, Dr. Hickey, about the research you shared in the presentation,
Mm-hmm.
and if we could have a follow-up conversation to understand that research a little more in depth. I guess I also wondered about the research being aligned to the draft of the strategy in the K-3 literacy plan, with the hope that it would reveal the council's progress to making that strategy a living strategy statewide.
All right, thank you so much. So we'll add that as well as another agenda item to consider. Thank you. All right, I know that today was fast and furious, so appreciate your questions, appreciate your assistance in onboarding TJ, and absolutely, we will follow up with sending the PowerPoint to you like we do. It also is posted, so we shall post that as well with the recorded meetings, the draft minutes, etc. So yes, welcome TJ, we so appreciate that. Welcome, Dr. Stoltz. We look forward to having you facilitate the next meeting and helping us with these conversations so that I can be more a part of it. Irene, thanks for driving today the PowerPoint. That was very helpful too. And I appreciate everyone taking the load.
Before we do go, I think Kim Healy has her hand up. I don't know if this is a final thought. No? Okay,
Sorry.
okay.
All right.
Just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll get back to you on the next meeting, which I just had here as, what was it, March 19th? Yep, March 19th. We'll check, Kim, to make sure that you've been getting, you're on the invites.
Well, if they're in person, I'll just make sure I'm there. Right?
Right, but it still should be in
ensure
your
you have the
calendar.
calendar.
All
Yeah,
these
the
should be
calendar.
in your calendar, whether you're attending in person or virtual. Yes.
Okay. I mean, I put it in my calendar. I just
Okay.
take care.
All right. All right. We shall keep you posted. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye.